1 game down, 5 to go for day 1 here in the season finals for the World Championship Series. Joining us on the desk this time, of course, is In Control and Rotterdam. We'll come talk to you boys in a quick second. But let's check in with the bracket back at home. There's a lot of new people tuning in. We've started with map number 1, and we are going to game number 2. Here is the bracket. We already have our first player going to the winners match, playing on Saturday. Later today, sorry. Zanster plays later today. Mana plays on Thursday in the elimination game. Completely nailed that one, boys. Absolutely nailed that one. Rotterdam, a great start for Zanster. We talked about it on the desk a little bit early on, but he shoots into that winners match to play in our next game after the one currently coming up.
No, absolutely, and if you look at who he's going to play as well, either elfi or MarineLorD, like his CVT is excellent. I've been very impressed with his CVT in the past. Like I mentioned his APM a little bit. For the people who don't have access to all the numbers, on general, Zanster like averages 320, 330 APM, and I feel you really see that in some of his longest CVTs. You know, I'm not gonna say that he's live because he's not, but he does kind of have some similarities in the playstyle. He's always running around, always active, always trying to punish his opponent. So yeah, this looks very promising for Zanster if he does actually play MarineLorD, because MarineLorD has his own work cut out for him.
That's right. He goes up against the wild card of this group. It's elfi.
Well, I've always been a guy who wants to compete in everything. That's the reason why I got into the StarCraft 2. If StarCraft 2 didn't have any competitions, then I wouldn't have started playing it. The reason why I started playing StarCraft 2, it was totally because it's the biggest competitive game at that point. So that was the only choice pretty much why I started playing it. People are always saying I'm too slow. Well, I wouldn't say it like that. I just don't spam that much, but I think I'm really good at thinking what I should do against whom. You are playing this game to win. You can do anything you want, any tactic you want, any number of times you want. You just have to get the win one way or another.
A character that's been in StarCraft for a long time now. elfi is no player that you can ever count out.
I mean, we keep saying wild card, but honestly, it aptly fits everything about him. The fact that he's here, he was actually eliminated, but he came in as a replacement, and then hilariously made it out of the round of 32 into the round of 16. Here he is. He's a storied European Protoss player who has been doing it in so many different weird ways. I mean, I remember back to Rotterdam, Mr. Bitter talking a lot about how slow he was, how weird, but he still got it done. And I love that they asked him that question in his interview, and he says, hey, it's all about winning. I don't care how many times I have to do what to get there. I'm going to do it.
A little bit of Vin Diesel there, man. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, you know. But the funny thing about elfi is that he also had one of the most memorable games in the round of 32. Like that game he played against Calazur, if you would have told me that was Rain or Classic playing, I would have believed you. You know, he sniped like 7 or 8 medavacs. They were full of bio. Was everywhere on any given moment. It was insane. And yeah, like you said, he's a little bit of a legend in his own way.
I mean, he did it with no practice. He went into the round of 32 and he didn't even practice because he was a replacement coming in.
Yep.
Well,
and that's and the same matchup that he, like a week before, he lost 0-3 against Utermo. Of course, a very good Terran player, but Calazur is also a very good Terran player. And yeah, elfi is just one of these guys that we could try to understand him, but we won't. He just works in his own magical way, but he makes it work.
One player who's been getting more and more recognition over the last couple of months here in the World Championship Series is, of course, the French Terran, MarineLorD.
I've been playing StarCraft for almost 10 years. When I saw the
MarineLorD, everyone!
Wow!
Wow! There he is.
What a transformation he's made in just a couple of weeks.
As we said, he's been making waves in the last couple of months here. But, you know, talking about MarineLorD, boys, is he, let's say 9 months ago, to a lot of people who watch the WCS week in, week out, wasn't really a name on the top of your lips, but with his top 8 last season, and now he comes into this one as a big favorite to do it again.
Yeah, when you're hot, man. He did really well there. He's done well in several other tournaments as well. And he is on that short list of non-Koreans as one of those guys that can go into a tournament, compete with the absolute best, and come out. Now, what I do want to say about him, though, is we're still kind of waiting for that big finish, like round of 16 WCS. That's awesome. But for MarineLorD, if we're going to talk about him amongst those snoots, those Lilbos, you got to be in top 4 or top 2.
Absolutely, but he did kind of make a run like that last season, right? We were always saying MarineLorD, one of the best Terrans in Europe, one of the best Terrans in Europe. And at a certain point, us commentators were being called out by the diehard fans, like, I don't know why they keep hyping up MarineLorD, you know, he has no achievements behind his name. And then finally, WCS Premier League Season 2, we saw what he was made of. Made it to the quarterfinals, then lost against Lilbao, but still a quarterfinals in WCS Premier League.
Pretty good.
That's something that we're going to mention a couple of times, but now, like Jeff said, the bar has been set, and if you want to go further, it has to be maybe a semi-finals appearance this time.
And in this group, MarineLorD is a player, if he gets first place, could, with assistance from DreamHack Stockholm, play at the global finals. If he wins it, he gets a massive chunk of points. With a little bit more from DreamHack, he could squeeze into the top 16. And he mentioned in his winners interview in the round of 32, Jeff, is that he thinks that he can win this tournament, and that is a bold statement.
And you have to think that, to be honest with you. He has competed with most of these players. He's beaten most of these players at various different events. He knows the Titans that are in this, your Hydras, your Polts. But he views himself as a guy that can do that. He practices with 4GG, another Korean Terran that we're going to see later in this tournament as well. And honestly, if he didn't believe that he could do it, he probably couldn't. So I'm glad to hear that from him.
Well, Kev, let's take a look at the maps here. So we got the map order ready, and I want you to point out how dangerous these maps can be for MarineLorD, because we know what elfi can bring to the table. We know the type of player he is. What do you see?
Actually, a relatively standard map pool, all things considering. Terraform is our first map, Coda our second, and the last is Iron Fortress. That is the same map pool as the previous.
In the same order.
Yeah, if this is the actual map pool, Sean, then I think this is very standard, and I think that this is something that MarineLorD should feel pretty comfortable.
This is 100% correct, Rotty. It is what we're going to be seeing. Let's talk a little bit about Terraform. So I've watched your stream. You're the #1 StarCraft 2 streamer on, of course, Twitch.tv. Everyone knows that. You've played a lot of Protoss versus Terran on Terraform. What do you think about it?
I kind of like it as Protoss, and I think most Protoss players like it. It's relatively easy to go up to 3 bases. It's not super easy. You don't get it for free, but it's very doable. And what is very useful, I think, is Protoss early on is you can drop that one pylon in that sneaky little spot, so Reapers can't hop into the main base. I think overall this is not a map that a whole lot of Terrans are super excited about. It's not impossible, but it's also not something that makes Terran players go like, woohoo, happy drop season, for instance.
I can see that in MarineLorD's face there, Kev. He's not super pumped to be played either.
Both these guys, wake up, boys. You're playing for history.
It's Premier League time.
I do want to say, though, going to map number 2, one of the things that kind of stuck out to me on Coda when we get there is this was a very equal map across all the matchups, except in TVP, where Protoss had actually a very low winning percentage. And I think a lot of players and analysts are going to talk about how hard it is to take that third base, but also drops. That's a map that we're going to have to keep our eye on, because that could be one of the tougher ones for elfi, which means proxy gates, crazy stuff. He's a cat guy. He'll do it.
All right. So I just this coming up right now, the predictions, boys.
Well,
I want to make sure if everyone at home is looking at this, we have a landslide, 8-0 in all the commentators at this event that have chosen to go for MarineLorD. Not a single vote in favor of elfi.
I must say I was very confident in my vote before I heard that InControl picked the same player as me. Like, he doesn't really have a track record that proves that he's right very often. So.
Well, so far he's right. I am actually I'm at 0% so far. So yeah.
But I mean, why is everyone choosing MarineLorD? Is he that much better than elfi today?
He is one of the absolute red hot non-Korean players. I'm really excited to see what he does. Like, when you talk about a player not so much as in this group, but rather how they do in the overall tournament, you know you've got a star there. When you talk about Lilbao, you're not like, can he win this first match? I mean, you do talk about that, but also people are like, he could win this tournament. And I think MarineLorD is one of those guys that's kind of on the outside up there.
What would elfi need to do to win this one, Kev?
Just catch MarineLorD off guard and like have another game like he had against Kalazur, where he just played absolutely phenomenal StarCraft, where everything was going for him. But the moment that MarineLorD starts getting a little bit of momentum, one successful drop, I kind of feel it's going to be over. So elfi really has to be on the money and throw in that elfi mix of sometimes very solid, but most of the times very ridiculous play. I think a perfect mix between those two is what could potentially make this a very interesting series and maybe go into elfi's way, but most likely this should be a MarineLorD victory.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. Do make sure to check out on Twitter and give us a tweet, #WCS, and join in the fun with the predictions. But it's now time to go into map 2, or game 2, should I say, here in the Premier League for Group A. The casters for this one is Todd and Pig.
Can the masterful mastermind Protoss elfi take it on against MarineLorD coming up in this match? It's going to be a crazy match. Everyone's saying that, of course, MarineLorD's the favorite, but elfi he's thrown curveballs before, and he's going to come here with his A game.
This matchup reminds me of BlizzCon 2013, Doc against Innovation. Everybody said Innovation was going to win, and then Doc through some special builds somehow upset the world.
And that's what elfi's absolutely capable of. As we launch here into map 1 on Terraform, going head to head, elfi the underdog, he's already been given a second life in this. He's going to have to go through MarineLorD here, one of the favorite top foreign players. And spawning here on the bottom right-hand side is our Finnish Protoss player. It is elfi. And he has his work cut out for him. Going up against his Terran opponent, spawning in the top left-hand side, it is Team Millennium's MarineLorD.
You know, it's funny in StarCraft, like every pro gamer, they kind of wants to practice in an anonymous way with barcodes on the ladder and, you know, not reveal who they are, practice secret builds, and then come into these tournaments and somehow surprise. But then you have guys like elfi who play on real ID, cheese all day, and then somehow surprise people when they're playing through, you know, having a lot of different builds. And even though they're pretty cheesy, they are very hard to scout and, I guess, find out about. So in this case, elfi doesn't even hide that he likes to cheese every single time he goes into a series like this. It's kind of like Hitman. He's like, well, you know, I'm gonna throw in some special elfi all-ins and we'll see if they work or not.
And like you said, maybe he's not the absolute fastest player in the world, but he goes in here always looking to win. And he does not care about any sort of, any sort of reputation he has in terms of being the most mechanically sound player. He's all about finding his opponent's weakness and exploiting it. And we've seen it go terribly wrong in his challenger match, but he's been looked upon kindly by the StarCraft gods this season. Of course, he did get put through as in that wildcard replacement spot, and now he's here. He's made it through that round of 32. But this is another step up from it. And interestingly enough, looks like he's going to open up with a nice early probe scout, see what's going on, and actually dropping a relatively standard opening back home.
Yeah, elfi is like one of those players that, looking at this round of 16 and all the players, he's probably not necessarily going to be a favorite against most of those players, but he's definitely capable of beating almost anybody at the same time, so you need to look out a lot. And I'm pretty sure that MarineLorD's game plan going into this series here is going to be to scout as much as possible. The Reaper opener here already kind of confirms that, even though, I mean, it's still pretty standard. As MarineLorD here, you're going to want to go that extra mile to try and scout as much as possible throughout the entire series.
And what sort of cheeses are you looking out for if you're MarineLorD? I mean, what are the key scouting information pieces that he's got to throw together? Going up against a player like elfi, there's so many curveballs, but is there any specific one thing he's looking to eliminate with his scouting?
Usually you want to see if it's either Twilight Council in this case or Stargate. These are like the main two that you can go for as opener for Protoss. Sometimes it's going to be Dark Templars, Blink. Confirming exactly what it is always going to be very difficult, but having at least an idea of what the first tech building is can go a long way to help in defending whatever it is. So in this case, MarineLorD, he's already scouting all around the map, and I mean, all I just talked about really comes into play here already in this series.
You got to look for those pesky pylons, of course. This Reaper being so diligent, scouting every corner of the map. He does not want to be surprised by a sneaky pylon, a proxied Stargate.
Yeah, Stargate in particular, I think. And elfi with a Robo in the back of his middle line here. It's too early to tell if this is the one building he wants to focus to, even though that was a really early one here, right after one Stalker. So sometimes you see like Immortal pushes or even some kind of Colossus, 2-base all-in, Colossus drop. Anything's possible with elfi. That's the real problem of playing against a Protoss like him. You need to get lucky at times with your scouts.
And MarineLorD doesn't have any idea about it yet. That Robo is tucked in neatly at the back. And there's even that nice pylon on the high ground from elfi, which I believe fully blocks the Reaper from jumping in the back path. Such a nice maneuver there. And the Reaper's going to come in. Is he going to be able to get the information? The Stalker is so well positioned. It wants to stop him getting this scout. And, oh, he just barely glimpses that robotics just before he goes down.
He saw a
Beautiful
sentry.
scout.
He saw a sentry, though. Usually you don't make sentries against Terran. And in this case, MarineLorD going for a Medivac and a quick drop here in this game, most likely with Widow Mines and maybe some Marines attack at the front. He should be able to see what's going on, but this might be what elfi is hoping for, because look, there is another sentry on the way. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a lot of gateway start, and we see already 2 in the main here for elfi, so maybe an Immortal into an Observer, a defense, and then some kind of counter-attack for elfi here might be in the plan, which might be deadly, because behind this, when you do this kind of build as Terran, you
There's not
hope
a
to
lot
do
of-
damage, but behind this you really hope that you're not going to get counter-attack because you're not going to have much back at home.
I'm delaying that production so much, going to commit to this Widowmine drop. This is dangerous. If MarineLorD's units do get thrown away, if they die, that's very scary. And even as this is happening, elfi is already sending a probe across the north side of the map. What he wants to do is receive this attack, shut it down, and then quickly counterattack across the map, as you said, Todd. Get those Immortals in, those sentries, and really punish MarineLorD hard. MarineLorD may have an inkling of this with the fast robotics, but it looks like he is committed to this attack nonetheless.
Yeah, elfi is not getting ready at all to defend in the main here. I mean, he might just sack his entire middle line to kill those Marines, counter-attack, and try and finish it immediately. Look at this, the Widowmine.
Oh, those Marines! But elfi is completely distracted. These two Widowmine drops coming in the main, burrowing, and elfi has not reacted. Massive hits, 12 probes going down, and the Marines escape. Masterful play from MarineLorD, but elfi he says your time's up. I know I am in dead position back home. My economy is falling apart. I have to make this happen in the next 30 seconds.
There is Widow Mines back at home here for MarineLorD, and the only observer that elfi made is defending right now in his middle line, so these are going to do quite a bit of damage, and as long as this bunker gets repaired, MarineLorD's going to be okay, but against this many Immortals
There's
and
only
force
one
fields-
Marine in that bunker. It's just not putting any damage out. The Marines from the back are separated from the army. These are the only damage output he's got right now. Those Widow Mines need to burrow. It's all about these Widow Mine shots, and one of them does get down, shoots a couple of those Zealots. A lot of SCVs going down, but the Marine flank from the rear is doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, and behind this elfi, he's lost quite a few probes, he's quite a bit behind. As long as he can do more damage though, he might be able to transition, but he takes so much damage.
Huge Widow Mine shots from MarineLorD, and a beautiful Marine pickup. Ferries a Marine over to that bunker, and it looks like those Widow Mines were the saving grace. As you pointed out, Todd, the Observer, it had to go home. It had to defend those Widow Mines, and only now is it starting to make its way back across the map. Oh, this is such a disastrous position for elfi, but where does he go from here? Does he just come across with another wave? What's his plan here, Todd?
I think his plans on maybe trying and being a little bit more aggressive with this, but he restarted pro production for a very short moment, and now he halted it again. So he might have just been indecisive for a second. I'm pretty sure he's going to commit no matter what here. I mean, this is elfi we're talking about after all. He's only making units here right now. Down to 25 probes against 37 SCVs. His timing is going to expire soon, actually, because we got Steam Pack on the way, and the production of MarineLorD is about to completely explode with all the barracks he's getting in the main.
Oh, MarineLorD's going for some double drop action. Seeing that there's a huge army here, though, one of them is running home. He still only has a few Marines out here. He does not have a lot of production. elfi needs to kill right now before that drop hits his main. He's trying to focus down this bunker, but the repair is too good. Is there enough damage output for MarineLorD, though? The Marines are starting to go down. The bunker is getting damaged. The SCV count is getting whittled down, and the Protoss force is still very large.
And elfi is going to get dropped back at home with some Widow Mines. He was not ready here with an Observer. He had the photon overcharge, but he wasn't paying attention.
Oh, 3 more probes going down at home, and another Widow Mine heading towards the natural. Oh, just forcing so much delayed mining as well as killing probes. elfi's at only 22 workers. Almost none of them are mining right now. MarineLorD just needs to hang on for a few more moments, but that is a fearsome Protoss force right there.
elfi, even though he's getting one Observer right now in his main, it's going to be, I think, one last attempt here for him to try and buzz this position. He's got a whole lot of units.
Oh, meanwhile, he's going to push in there. The SCV's trying to repair, but that is a good couple of force fields denying that. The Marauders being forced to fall back between the mineral lines, and in the midst of this, Widow Mine shots have gone off, killing another 4 probes. elfi needs to close it out right here. His economy is in tatters, but MarineLorD just can't seem to get a lot of units together. He needs to hang on. Stim finishes. He's shooting down the Zealots, the Stalkers. He's got that bio ball up. He's got a medevac healing. elfi is forced to retreat down that ramp.
And elfi somehow got rid of the Widow Mine that was in his main, but there is still 2 in the mineral line of his natural. He's down to his last few units. MarineLorD, Madam Mules!
Madam Mule going down on top of elfi. The stim units come down, and those gateway units with no force fields left, with no supporting area damage, they cannot hang on against that. elfi is forced to turn tail and run with his tail between his legs. Oh, meanwhile, we've got Widow Mine still at home, denying the mining time of elfi. elfi's economy is in absolute tatters right now.
Yeah.
And MarineLorD, he's got his tech up. He lost a lot of SCVs, but with Stim, with Medevacs, he is in an absolutely astoundingly powerful position right now.
Both players lost a ridiculous amount of workers here, but MarineLorD having 21 against 22, and the double orbital is just going to be so far ahead. Remember, he's on 5 barracks as well. Now combat shield is going to start. He's already got Steam Pack and Medivac. He should have this game in the bag. Then again, he's against elfi. If there's anybody that can somehow find his way out of a game like this, it might be him.
And elfi is here. He means business. He said it in that interview before. He's all about the competition, and it doesn't get bigger than a season finals in WCS. It's been a while since he's made it down to one of these, and he wants to leave his mark. He's not going to leave this game until he has exhausted every possibility, and elfi is so good at finding a way. Still going for Immortals and Sentries back home, looking like he wants to rely on those force fields, and now it's MarineLorD's time to finally get back across that map and start using that tech advantage. Pushing in with Stim, Medivacs, this is going to be a very fearsome double drop.
I thought he might just kind of sit at home and hope that MarineLorD makes a really bad attack, but seeing that MarineLorD wasn't attacking him, right now elfi is moving across the map, and in a base trade here, I just think he's going to have no chance. Like, his Nexus is going to die instantly, and even if MarineLorD somehow was to be in trouble at home, he can fly in a corner of the map, and in this situation, you're never going to lose a base trade here as Terran, so elfi just in a world of trouble.
The double drop Stims in, killing so many probes. There is not a single shred of defense here. The Nexus cannon goes down, but the bio is shooting down that Nexus very quickly. elfi losing his economy. Meanwhile, MarineLorD tries to preempt the attack. Stims out with a lot of SCVs to buffer. The Stim bio has so much maneuverability. The gateway units are starting to fall. A lot of SCVs actually going down for MarineLorD, but the sentries go down. The Immortals are being focus fired, and elfi is forced to GG out of that game. A beautiful win there for MarineLorD. Clear and confident throughout. There were a few moments where he had to be afraid. elfi brought the fight to him. He brought it to him fast, but he was not quite able to prevail. elfi there looking focused though. Doesn't look in any way thrown off by that whatsoever. Just a very confident win for MarineLorD.
Yeah, I think this is exactly what we expected out of this match here, by the way. MarineLorD knew that elfi was going to play very aggressive. He kind of looked out for it. And in the end, even though for a moment, I have to say, even I was worried, in the end, the defense was good enough. He pulled SCVs, he did everything right. And MarineLorD, with a very solid first defense here, he has to be confident here going into the next game.
And we will find out in just a moment who is going to be able to take that next game. MarineLorD does lead by 1 game. You guys will find out right after this break. Welcome back to the World Championship Series. Here we are about to hop into map 2 of MarineLorD versus elfi. And it has been a very exciting match 1. elfi already bringing the fight to MarineLorD. Unfortunately, not being able to close that one out. MarineLorD, he's the real Titan here. He's definitely one of the favorites to get out of this.
Did he just take off his jacket?
Oh, things are getting serious. MarineLorD's taking off the jacket. Maybe it's a bit of a Gracket moment going back in StarCraft history. As we do dive into map 2, it's an important match here on Coda. MarineLorD looking very focused, but first he does have to make it through his opponent. Spawning on the right-hand side, our trickster Protoss, the ever-famous, never-forgettable, it is elfi. Such a creative player, but will his plays be able to get him through the Titan? One of the favorites of this group. It is Team Millennium's MarineLorD.
In game 1, everything went according to plan here for MarineLorD. He needs to keep this up. One map is not enough here to win. In the best of 3, you need to make sure you stay in the zone and you keep on scouting. I've seen a lot of players do the job properly in map number 1 and then in map number 2 somehow failing and then falling apart from there and losing horribly in map number 3. So MarineLorD here, he does not want that to happen. He wants to make sure he keeps up with his scouting. He knows exactly what elfi is up to and he counters it properly.
And you can't get too afraid there, can you? Sometimes there is that feeling of, oh, what's he going to throw at me now? I'm up a game. I just have to not lose. And sometimes players even play too conservatively. But I really like what we saw out of MarineLorD that last game, always sending those drops out, putting the aggression on, even in the face of, you know, play which he couldn't quite tell what elfi's intentions were. He said, I'm still going to take the fight to you. I'm still going to counterattack. And he just balanced it perfectly. Already, we do see a probe coming out for elfi on a little bit of an odd path there.
It's going to be a proxy Stargate here, most likely, unless he goes for the SOS hidden Twilight Council on the map and then some kind of 3-gate blink, but I don't think so. A lot of the time here is going to be for a proxy Stargate, which MarineLorD, since he scouts with not just an SCV and then a Reaper after, he's going to be able to see 100%, maybe even find on the map, but you still need to react properly. You still need to, sometimes, it depends what you want to defend with, you know, get turrets, get Widow Mines, depending on how exactly he's stacking. And right now he's already pulling SCVs off his second refinery here is MarineLorD, but he's very quickly going to realize what's happening here with this scout with the SCV.
Oh, you know, MarineLorD's really been favoring that 3 racks follow-up lately, so he does love to pull off that gas after that command center, go for that as well as the factory play like we saw last game, but it looks like that Stargate's going to be going down for elfi, and this is a very sneaky play. This is a real surprise play. If MarineLorD can scout this, he can prepare very easily and be ready, but if he doesn't see it, he's going to be in a lot of trouble.
This is not a big map. This is not a big map, and there aren't a million places that you can hide a Stargate like this on this map. An SCV plus a Reaper patrolling the entire map, you're almost always going to be able to find it on time. And now, even though there's a probe in and out on the map that's going to be starting a second pylon, that's already a huge win here for MarineLorD to know exactly where this went down and how fast this is going to come. Because he's going for an eBay, he's getting a second barracks, and he started his command center in his main instead of his natural.
Oh, and even going to get this probe. Forcing the second pylon out is huge there. elfi, what could his follow-up be behind this? This has to do something. He has to try and pin MarineLorD in his base. That Oracle's now in the way. MarineLorD preparing himself, looking like he wants to say, I am the reactive one in this game. I am going to make it out of this group. I want to come through that winner's match. And he's already a game up, and he's just got that turret down before the Oracle even pops out. Just dotting his I's, crossing his T's. He's playing so safe, so careful here.
He's playing perfectly so far. Even having the SCV across the map, he's making sure that no Nexus is going to start. They're going to be able to chase down this Stalker there. And the turret is going to finish exactly on time here to make sure that this Oracle doesn't kill SCVs in the middle line. Going to be able to catch maybe one Marine and some SCVs there, but not the end of the world here for MarineLorD.
No, elfi's cut probes to get that done. You know, this was a huge investment. Coming in again, almost gets another SCV, but actually taking some hull damage on that Oracle. And look at this. MarineLorD has all the information, except the fact that Void Rays are coming. But guess what? He knows there's no natural Nexus down. He knows something sneaky's coming. And the fact that there's Void Rays on that production tab for elfi, that means he is planning to go for a big attack from here. They can bust through those bunkers really hard. What does MarineLorD need to defend against this, Todd?
A lot of turrets, bunkers, and Marines. This is the has bust here, where usually you open 1 or 2 oracles. In this case, the second oracle was cancelled to go straight into Void Race, and behind this, elfi is getting a bunch of gateways. There is 2 ways you can do this. You can try and mass some sentries and zealots, and then go into stalkers to have some guardian shields and force fields to work with. Usually, you can do that if the Terran is trying to defend at the natural, because he's gonna have bunkers. But in this case, elfi might just go into stalkers instead. Try to blow up that first bunker and hope there isn't another one, and then move up and try and finish it. But since there is already a second bunker and a turret, it seems like MarineLorD has played the most perfect defense here that I've seen against this build almost ever, I think.
And MarineLorD goes in by that with that Reaper, sees the Void Rays in production, so he's got absolute confirmation at this point. He knows what he's going up against, and he is continuing to pump those Marines out 3 at a time, just sitting on that one base saying, I'm not going to take any chances with this. The Reaper's going to go into the main base of elfi right now, and it's going to confirm what's happening. And look at that, even more Oracle energy having to be wasted killing a Reaper. That Oracle is not going to be able to do anything in this upcoming battle.
Usually against bunkers and turrets, they don't do that well anyway, but you do need to use them anyway for the attack, because elfi is completely all in here. There's no way he's going to be expanding behind this. He stayed on 23 probes, and I have to say MarineLorD, he's impressing me so much here with his defense. So far, he doesn't even get more SCVs. So many Terrans make the mistake of starting so many SCVs, but MarineLorD knows that this is an all-in. He's already got double orbital, so he kind of delayed and halted his SCV production, instead get a third bunker. Now he's getting everything he needs to get. Another barracks, a factory as well for Medivac Tech and Widow Mines.
And this attack is starting to power up, but MarineLorD has taken no chances. The Guardian Shield comes in. elfi is going in for the bus. He's got a lot of force fields here. The first bunker goes down, but a Void Ray falls already. Only 2 Void Rays remain. Some nice force fields, though, trapping a few Marines. MarineLorD hopping those Marines into the bunker to escape them. Beautiful micro from MarineLorD, giving elfi no chances in that game. And we saw he crushed through in a superior passion. What an amazing win for MarineLorD. And he does take that game 2-0. A very clear and confident win for MarineLorD. Comes out of that in a beautiful fashion. elfi there, having to wrap things up, putting in a good showing, but unfortunately not able to close it out.
A fantastic performance there by MarineLorD, and the perfect set of defensive plays to absolutely crush Kev. Absolutely crushed.
Yeah, a very one-sided series. We can make this maybe more beautiful than it was, but it was kind of a stomp, let's be honest. MarineLorD was on top of this from start to finish. One kind of shaky moment on Terraform where he started sending 2 medevacs across the map. Those mines that burrowed behind the army didn't do that much. And a sort of when we're looking at each other, it's like, is elfi making this work after losing 13 probes against the first 2 mines? But he didn't. The second game was very ugly, I think.
I actually really like that moment you're talking about in the first game, though, because that's like, that is so StarCraft. That's been the beginning of time where it's either Terran or Zerg, and they're like, all right, Protoss scum. Surely you're macroing now. Like, your little cheesy tactic didn't work. And you go out of your base and you're like, that jerk is still just making units. And of course he is. But I do have to say, with MarineLorD, he knew this about elfi going into it. He was diligent with his scouting. He was very defensive in his game number 2. He was not forcing the expansion. Played brilliantly. And yes, it was a beatdown, but it was a superior player doing what it took to advance.
Do you feel that this is a statement of the group from both sides as well? It almost feels like MarineLorD was like, there is no way I'm losing today's group. I'm going to play as safe and as solid as possible. And on the flip side, elfi's like, this is a very difficult group for me. I'm going to take it in a very different way.
I'm looking at game number 1, and what I think, and this is just speculating, I haven't spoken with any of the players, but what I think is elfi's hoping for is that MarineLorD opens up with a 3 Rex, walks across the map with a bunch of buy units, gets force fielded in, counterattack, 7-gate Immortal, can potentially end the game immediately. But of course, in this day and age, that's very risky for A, not a whole lot of Terrans do that, and B, if Widow Mines will be dropped in your mineral line, you're pretty much dead. And of course, you know, big shout out to MarineLorD, his focus fire probably on the mines as well, because often you see double mine drop and it kills like 4 or 5. He killed 12. Like, I don't think that's coincidence, so very well done by him. But yeah, elfi just kind of rolling the dice, hoping that he gets the better end of the build orders, but he absolutely didn't.
And in any sport, any esport, you play a match, you absolutely dominate. It gives you the perfect form and perfect confidence going into your next match. Is that the way that we look at it with MarineLorD, who now must go up against Zanster in the winners match? Does he go into it feeling, I'm godlike right now?
I think we see the beginnings of a guy that does do what it takes to advance out of a group. You don't just play, this is my build in this matchup. You play to your opponent, and we saw that with elfi, and it makes for, unfortunately, kind of a bad series for us, but it is also the beginnings of a champion. Now, going up against Zanster, Zanster's a very aggressive Zerg who handles mech TVZ play very well, by the way, which is something that we could see from MarineLorD. Mech, of course, being tanks and Widow Mines and the mechanized version of Terran versus Zerg. So I'm excited.
We've seen a lot of that play of MarineLorD in WCS Premier League Season 2. Had a couple of very memorable games against his fellow country buddy, Firecake, the player that Zensa, ironically enough, eliminated in Challenger this season. This is going to be a very cool series, man, a very close series. And of course, yes, MarineLorD builds up some momentum, but I also don't think that he's feeling like he's on top of the world right now. He didn't just 2-0 Classic, you know, with all due respect. He beat elfi. I'm sure that he kind of expected to do that. And I think he knows that the real task here is definitely going to be this upper bracket match, whether it was Mana or Zenser, as both of them are on paper scarier players than elfi.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We're going to go to a quick break, and when we return, we'll have our first player that goes to the playoffs, our first player that goes to play in Krakow.